motivation, stimulating, get your mind right, sending out nothing but love to you and yours, and that love be the thing that goes about holding us, guiding us, and enabling us to withstand the storms of life. You see, because things come in a way that makes it hard at times. It's only when we go about allowing ourselves to comfort the idea that we can go about doing anything, then it invokes the capability that we have. We must not let despair become our friend. And in that, whatever we attempt, we must go forth. And in going forth, we must do things with a conviction that allows us to go about pursuing whatever goal we're trying to go about, setting out to try to go about accomplishing. But one of the ways we could go about achieving these things is that, and anything that we go about engaging in, we must find the joy and the pleasure in why we're going about doing these things. So remember, joy lies in everything and every struggle that we have. We just got to come with the mind frame that it's predetermined on how we go about approaching every lesson. Some lessons will be easy, some lessons will be hard, but yet at the same time, the one consistent thing in all of this is our attitude towards that lesson, you see. If we would just hold fast and understand that despite what we're going through, it's only to go about building us up. And in building us up, we have to allow things to go about giving us a sense of direction. And in giving us that sense of direction, you see, we need to come to see what is important in our lives. And how do we go about coming to see what's important? Because if we look, there's a lot of things grabbing for our attention. And things grabbing for our attention, that don't mean it's important. Because we are creatures that go about having many desires. And what I mean by many desires is, at certain stage in our life, we're more gravitated to fitting in, being accepted, being tolerated. But when we look from a mindset, we're doing all of these different sort of things. Do these things go about helping me to become a better person? Is following the trend more helpful or hurtful to me? But when we start to slow down and take a reflective look upon our lives, and then we go about sizing up and trying to formulate a plan in which we're to go, then we could go about seeing that, no, this is not important because this is merely going about fitting in to what everybody else is doing. You see, importance has a significance, and the significance has us to go about developing conviction. So one needs to go about stopping and just looking at life for a moment and realize that in order for you to go about seeing what's important, you must first and foremost, you must come to look at yourself. And in looking at yourself, then it will be determined what is important and what is just carrying on as the world wants you to carry on. So for us to see what's important in our life, we must first come to know who we are as a person. You must do that self-reflection on a daily basis. It must be consistent that you look at what's going on in your life in order to go about getting a sense of direction. Then you will see what's most valuable. But in seeing what's most valuable, like I said before, many of us try to keep up with the crowd. And in keeping up with the crowd, it comes at a cost because we could see that different fads comes at random apparent times, and there's no consistency how long a fad will last or a phase will last. But if you're trying to keep up with everybody else, then you're not living within your means. What I mean is, I always tell my kids this. If I give you $1, you better put away 75 cents and find a way how to go about living off of 25 cents. And the reason being is, once we start to promote an ideology that we're not spending more than we're bringing in, it creates a consciousness and being cautious on how you go about spending $1. You see, the reason a lot of us fall into debt is because we do not know financial responsibility. We have become easy targets for credit card companies, the banking institution, and these loan sharks that goes about taking advantage of us. And with these loan sharks going about taking advantage of us, we are left feeling paralyzed because we are being victimized for not knowing better. But the thing that I go with in promoting is establishing a budget for yourself. And in establishing a budget, if your take home is $5,000, you better be spending $3,000 and putting away that $2,000, because life is a cycle, and life gives no forewarning for when things are going to come into play. It's only asking that you go about being ready. And when you go about living beneath your needs, it will prepare you for when that cycle dips. because hard times is for everybody. It might not seem that way, but life is a cycle. If we learn and if we could see that the rhythmic waves of life, it goes on an upward trajectory, plateaus, settles out, and then it dips. But a lot of us, because when it's going good, we believe that will never come to an end. So we carry on recklessly with no regard. We just live as if there is no tomorrow. But when one goes about being cautious in how they're living and looking at the things that they're doing, they're not worried when that day comes because they have gone about implementing a strategy and a plan in which they could go about confronting and dealing with life as it dips. You see, all these things are just plans that we could go about implementing into our lives. And implementing these plans and thoughts and ways of going about doing things will more go about helping us. Because, like I said before, life is a cycle. And if that doesn't equate to nothing for you, the stock exchange of 2008 was a parent of how the cycle is derived in order to go about affecting the poor. You may wonder why I'm bringing up the stock exchange and this sort, but I come to add this. There were mortgages being handed out to people who really couldn't afford the mortgages, but instead of these financial institutions doing the right thing, they propagated to prey on the weak. And in preying on the weak, they knew that a lot of these loans that they were handing out to people, that people couldn't go about affording these loans. And since they couldn't afford the loan, then the the entirety goes about suffering and taking a hit only because people did not understand that they couldn't afford it. They relied on others telling them that, yeah, you can do it. But one must be conscientious and know your limitations and how far you could go in doing what you are doing. So let it be that you go about establishing a plan that you do not live above your means, because living above your means is only a trap that is put in place. Like I tell everybody, one of the things you need to do, oh, come on, Petey, you're killing me. Oh, man, you're killing me, Petey.